Hey guys, this is We Live Jeep, and today I'm going to be installing a new exhaust manifold or header on my 93 Jeep Cherokee. This one's all cracked and it definitely has an exhaust leak, so I'm going to be doing that as well as the map sensor, which I already replaced. That is just two little bolts on top, and pull it off and put a new one on. So new map sensor I already did, and I'm also going to be replacing the O2 sensor, which I guess the previous owner cut it for some reason. The wire in it doesn't work anyway, so I got a new O2 sensor here, exhaust manifold right there. So let's get started. First thing you're going to want to do is disconnect these two hoses. Disconnect the these little tightening clamps. Run the hose. You can remove this air box, your tubes, and once you get that, then we'll start on these brackets. Alright, once you get the hose and everything removed, to get the air box out, there's two bolts in the bottom once you get it open, and there should be a bolt back there. I don't think you have to remove the air box, but I'm going to do it just so I have more room to work with, because I got to get that O2 sensor out. That's probably going to be rusty in there, and I just like having more room, but I'm not sure if you have to take that or not, but I'm going to take it out anyways, and then we'll unbolt the 3 bolts holding this bracket for these cables on, I guess, speedometer and gas and transmission pedal, I think. Gas and transmission. Once you get your air box out, it'll look something like this. Also, if you want to remove this, you can just pull it off, or you can just twist it like that. It'll pop off like that. Alright guys, there'll be a bolt right there, a bolt right there, you see that right there, and one more bolt over there, stuck in through those wires. And then to disconnect these, for this one you just pull out on it like that. And for that one you gotta pull forward like that. It kind of slides out like that. It has that little thing, so you gotta pull that forward. This one just pulls out. And then you're going to remove that bracket once you get that out. And you can see there's the 3 holes, how they bolt in. Just move that off to the side. Alright, now we're going to, I guess, disconnect these wires and remove the fuel rail and fuel injectors. Alright, so you're going to disconnect this right here. Now, keep in mind this is a 93 Jeep Cherokee, so it is the high output engine. I don't know if it's different for the Rainix or the newer 97 up Jeeps, if the wiring is different up here. So you might have some different wiring. This is my O2 sensor that the previous owner cut, as you can see, so I don't know why. And then you're going to disconnect that. Then you're going to go through and disconnect all these plugs right here for the fuel injectors. And then disconnect these two as well. There's a lot of wires over here. You get that one, you'll have that one, and this one right here, and that one right here. I think that is your idle position sensor. I'm not sure which that one is, and I'm not sure what that is. And the last one. Alright, there you go. You got that disconnected. Keep in mind where that wire fell, you don't want to forget about that. And now you're just going to remove these fuel injectors and these hose clips. And to relieve pressure on the fuel rail, you're going to unscrew this cap right here, and that goes right there. Unscrew that. Right, we'll get a rag, but I don't give a shit. So push right there, and that'll relieve the pressure. It'll spray out, so that's where you might want to get a rag. Now to remove these fuel injectors connectors, there should be a clip. Where's that? Right here. So you gotta pop it off. See if I can get it, so you guys can see what it looks like. You see it's coming off. It's just like a little square. It has like little arms on it, so it wraps around the connector and keeps it on there so it don't fall off. Now a lot of your fuel injectors, those will be missing because they like to fall off or break, or just previous owners will lose them. So I want to keep an eye out for those. You don't want to lose them. And here's what they look like. That goes around that square part. Once you get that, you can pull them off. Do that for all 6 of them. Alright, so once you get those fuel injector lines removed, I actually had only 4 of the clips out of all 6, so that just shows you the previous owner lost them, or they broke or something. And so once you get those bolts removed, mine was also missing one of those bolts. There should be 4 of them. So once you get those removed, everything should be disconnected from the fuel rail. You should be able to just pull out. It'll be kind of stuck in there. I'll pull these, and I'll pull all the fuel rail, all the fuel injectors out with them. I can't do it with one hand, so I'll show you how it's off once I get it off. Alright, so once you get it pulled off, they all come off together like this. And be careful because this fuel rail is full of gas. So you just want to take it over to your grass, or if you want to keep the fuel, whatever, you want to dump it out at those 2 ports you disconnected earlier. So just gonna, I like to just drain it out. You can probably just keep it in there, but I'm gonna clean these fuel injectors. They're dirty and they have 230,000 miles on them, and I don't think they've been disconnected before. So, and also you want to clean the ports inside the engine where it slides into. Be very careful doing that, because if that crud gets in your engine and your cylinders, then that can cause some problems. So I'm actually just going to get like a little flathead screwdriver and a vacuum and scrape it out while sucking it up. So, and then you want to clean your fuel injectors. I actually got some nicer fuel injectors we can put in here. They're 4 hole. If you look at these, they only have 1 hole. So if you want to upgrade, you can put some 4-hole injectors in here, and you'll get better gas mileage, better throttle response. And those are the ones I got, come off a Dodge Neon 95, 96, and they're, I think they're called Dodge Neon 703 injectors. I only got 4 of them right now, so I'm not going to do it right now, but whenever I get 6 of them, I'll end up doing that eventually. But if you look in those holes, you'll see a lot of crud. I don't know if you can see it or not. So you want to clean that out, but be very careful. And you might want to replace the O-rings as well if they're pretty beat up. Otherwise you might have some leaking. Alright, now you're going to remove this rail right here, and that just slides up off those studs. This just has these little slides on them. I guess you can pull it over here. I'm going to disconnect these lines right here to give me some more room to work with. So once you got those wires out of the way, it should be pretty bare. Now you just got a couple vacuum lines to disconnect. Those you just pull straight off. Remove these fuel lines out of the way. Like that. Then you got this one. These are vacuum lines, so they don't have any. No, I'll put it up here. That one. You got this one. You might want to take a picture of this. That way you don't forget where all your lines connect to. So while you're in there, now I've got problems remembering it, but I might take a picture. Maybe a little too late for that. This is your brake booster vacuum line. Alright, so once you get all these disconnected, I still gotta get that one. Anyways, once you get those disconnected, then we'll start removing the power steering, I guess, pump and reservoir, and take this manifold off so we can get to the exhaust. Now, if you want to completely remove your reservoir, you got that bolt there, a couple bolts down there, and to loosen up the belt, a bolt here somewhere. There'll be a bolt under there, and you unloosen that, and then slowly that belt will become looser. But I'm not going to remove the whole thing because this is the only bolt that holds to the exhaust manifold, I think. So I'm just going to move that. It should be fine. My bolt's missing a couple, so I don't know if there's any other bolts attached. But I'm going to start taking this exhaust manifold off now. And to do that, hold on. To do that, you got a bolt there, there, and another one back there. And that should be, there might be some underneath, I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to start by removing those 4. And I'll tell you where I'm at from there. Alright, once you get those 4 bolts out, or those are, I think, 5 bolts. I'm not sure if that takes this off or not. Let's see. It feels like it's still held on. Yeah, I think there's some bolts underneath. And there's going to be a pain in the butt to get to. Alright, so you're probably going to need some swivel extensions and stuff to get to those bolts. But make sure you're not getting the exhaust bolts, because those are easy to get to once you get this off. This comes off first, and then you got a couple more bolts to take for that. So don't waste your time trying to get those off when you can just get them off once you get that off. So focus on what needs to come off to get this off, and then we'll take these bolts out. Alright, once you get these bolts out, there were, I think, 4 or 5 more bolts on the underside, basically in the same locations as these, but underneath. Once you get those out, then you're going to pull this manifold off. Alright, that came off real easy. It actually was only like 5-10 pounds. I'm surprised at how light that was. But anyways, once you get that off, then you got a couple bolts for this manifold to take off. I think. You may only have one on the front, one on the back. That's what it looks like after getting all the other bolts off. And then you got 2 bolts down there where it attaches to the rest of the exhaust. Once I gotta pound some of this mud and stuff off first. Alright guys, I got those 2 bolts out on there. 1 bolt on each end up here. 2 bolts down there. 2 different size for some reason, but they came off very easy. I'm surprised. But to get those off, should be able to break this loose. And I guess that's why they say you gotta take the power steering pump off, just because it hits right there. So I guess I will be taking the power steering pump off now. And then I'll pull this off and get ready to install the old one. And you can see the cracks I had on here. Alright, once you get those 2 bolts out right there, you're going to pull that 1 bolt, loosen the belt, take the belt off. You're going to lose this bolt off right here, bolt down there, and that'll allow you to swivel this out. And then, or swivel this part out, actually. The actual pump moves in and out. Anyways, once you get that, then you got a bolt right there, and that'll allow you to hinge this whole thing out. And you can pull that exhaust manifold out. So now we're going to pull this out. Alright guys, once you got that off, you're going to want to clean off this head surface right here, so you can get ready to mount it. And I went ahead and vacuumed out these ports, clean it up a little bit so that stuff doesn't fall in there. So you're going to clean it off with like a abrasive, I guess, tool or something you put on your drum, or you can use some sandpaper or whatever works best for you. I'm using this thing right here. I'm going to drill, and for the corners I can't get, I'll probably just use sandpaper. Once you get that cleaned up, we'll start mounting things back together. Oh, and I gotta get the O2 sensor changed too. Alright guys, I got this cleaned up good now. No carbon buildup or old gasket on there. It's not too shiny. I wish I can get it better, but that's good enough right there. So now, I'm actually going to put one of these on there, because I hear that this whole entire exhaust is one piece, and all that stress is on that header, and so when the body is twisting it and stuff, and I've heard that it helps a lot, because these headers are known for cracking. So I'm going to put this on there, lower, probably in between the O2 sensor and the cap, and that should help with some of the stuff. I think this one's too big, I might need to go get another one. But and then I'm also going to try to yank that O2 sensor out as well right now. And while I was in here, I actually found the date on this block, and it's a 96, and my Jeep's 93, so somebody must have put another block in here. And I've always been suspicious of that, because the block is red, valve cover's blue, timing changes and everything. Oil pan's all blue, so it looks like someone took it apart and cleaned it, or built it, and painted everything. So I'm thinking this is a different motor than what was factory in my Jeep. So maybe that's a good thing, because my Jeep has 230,000 miles on it. Alright, anyways, going to try and get that O2 sensor out and put one of these in. Alright guys, I got this old O2 sensor out. Usually you gotta heat these things up with a torch till they're glowing red, and I gave it one good turn of a wrench and it busted loose. Not even having to try to get it off. So I'm gonna put this new one in. Looks a little different. This is a Bosch. I got the new gasket and the exhaust header on, and now I'm gonna start torquing things down. You gotta have a certain torquing sequence for these manifold and header, so you wanna make sure you use that, and you wanna use the torque specs, so whatever foot-pounds it requires. So I'll just look that up, and it might be different from year to year, I'm not sure, but that's what I'm gonna do now. Alright guys, I got the 2 bolts down there for the where it connects to the exhaust system bolted up. Now I'm gonna start doing the torquing sequence for this. So that should be everything right there. Make sure your ports are clean, and you want to clean this too. Clean those slots for the fuel injectors as well. That one looks pretty clean, but I'm gonna get some sandpaper in. I'm also gonna clean this whole entire thing because this thing's just dirty all over. Alright guys, I cleaned the manifold, cleaned out all the ports for the fuel injectors, cleaned the fuel injectors and the rail. I didn't have to take them off, I just took a little wire brush and brushed off the whole rail, and for the O-rings I did take those off and clean them with some water. You got the exhaust manifold on. Now I'm going to bolt it down using the torque sequence and the torque specs. Again, you want to look that up. It'll be on the internet, easy to find. Just type in Jeep XJ manifold torque pattern, and it'll come up. It'll give you the foot-pounds and the sequence and what's the different bolts you're supposed to tighten up first. So once you do that, then you can start tightening things down. Alright guys, got my torque wrench here. Now I looked it up, and apparently you do not need thread lock on these, because apparently the high temperature will cause the thread lock not to work, or to come undone, I guess. Alright guys, all the bolts are torqued down. We got all the exhaust and the manifold, upper and lower, all torqued down. I just did at 25 foot-pounds. It said 24 for some, it said 23 for the others, and I just did 25 just so that it'd be a little tighter. So, and it'd be all for all of them equal torque pounds. So, and surprisingly, I was able to fit with these extensions right here. I was able to fit this entire torque wrench to get all the bolts. So, and that wasn't even that big of a problem. Probably the biggest pain so far in this install was getting the bolts started once you get the new exhaust put on. So getting all these bolts started and finding the holes underneath to get them in. So anyways, I'm gonna start probably gonna put the fuel rail back in now, and I'm not sure if I showed you this, but I already cleaned all the injectors, so I'm just gonna put them in now. Alright guys, got the fuel rail in. Now I'm gonna plug all the wires back in and put the air box back in, and that should be all, I think. Plug the new O2 sensor in, obviously, and whenever you first start it, there's going to be smoke coming out of it. That's normal. That's just the coating they put on the exhaust to keep it from rusting while it's in, I guess, storage or whatever. So it'll smoke. Just that's normal. Alright, so once you get your wires plugged in, get your bolts for your power steering pump and put that back together, and don't forget to connect these 2 lines to the fuel rail, because then you're going to have gas pouring out all over the floor. And you'll hear a click when those are in. Made 1 click, there's 2 clicks on it. So you make sure both sides click into place. Like that. Alright, and what else? Whenever you first start it, make sure these fuel injectors are seated correctly. You're going to look at them and see if there's any fuel spilling out around them, and if you do, turn off the engine, and you're going to want to unplug them and pull them off and put them back on again and make sure they're on correctly and those O-rings didn't tear or anything. Anyway, so put your power steering bolts back in, and your pulley, and your throttle cables, and those 3 bolts for those cables. Alright guys, I went ahead and put the gearbox in because I'm going to need to jump it because I left my door open and it ran the battery down in the dome light inside, and as you can see my driveway is kind of full of some crap right now, so I'm going to go ahead and put all my tools up. That's why I went and put the toolbox up on, so I wouldn't need the tools to do that. Also, for the fuel injectors, to lube them up, I just opened up that gas tank and just dipped each fuel injector with it on the rail still. I just left it on the rail and dipped each fuel injector into the gas and just slid it on and started bolting it down. Those last 2 didn't really want to go on, so those ones I'm worried about whether they sealed or not, and so I went ahead and put that screw in and tapped it a couple times with a hammer, and then they slid in all the way. So I think they're in, but we'll find out when I start it. Alright guys, it got dark before I got that last video of getting this installed and taking it for the first, or starting it for the first time since it's installed. But I've already started it once and it runs great. It's a lot quieter at the engine bay, not too quiet at the tailpipe because I have a Flowmaster exhaust. But other than that, it's pretty quiet from up here compared to what it was before. So I'm guessing that exhaust leak caused a lot of noise than it should have up here. I haven't driven it too much. I haven't noticed too much of a increase in fuel economy or anything, but I'll figure that out eventually. But I'll go ahead and start it so you guys can see how it starts and runs. Runs good. It idles a little lower too, but I don't know, it may be the same. Anyways, there you guys go. The exhaust manifold install for a '93 Jeep Cherokee. Thanks for watching, guys.